We are so delighted to have Casey Pesce today, owner, founder, chef of two of our favorite restaurants in town here in Monmouth County, Apple Street and Dejit. And we've been going to your restaurants for years, and so thrilled to have you on our podcast and YouTube to share everything that is so good about your chefing.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's delicious food. It's farm to table. It's your menus change, and then of course you always have the favorites that don't change too, because we have favorites. But it's like always, I know I'm going there and I'm not compromising anything when I go there, because as Wendy, whenever we go outside of our homes to eat, we feel like we're always sacrificing something. But going to your places, I don't feel that way at all. So it's a really,
Right.
I appreciate having you around.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Glad
And we
to
don't,
be.
we don't say that lightly either. And part of it's because, when the chef, it's a unique opportunity to be able to actually know you and know the chef behind the food that's coming to the table. So we feel a little bit spoiled that way, honestly. If we could know the farmers, that would be beautiful, right? I mean, that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
We knew the farmers, we knew the chefs. So let's take a step back. Tell us a little bit about your story, because there's a lot of family lineage and a lot comes from, cooking with your own family. So I'm going to just toss it to you. Let us. Yeah.
Yeah. And also going back to where you said, knowing myself, and I always look at it as trust. So like, your neighborhood eatery, and, it becomes like your place you go, because you trust, the food is going to be quality. It's going to be consistent, so that's a big factor. It's a little more than going out and buying a T-shirt. Like people really cherish
Just a little.
what they So people really like are into what they're putting in their bodies, and people are hungry and want to eat well. So yeah, it's great. It's a great, it's definitely like a good reward, where people are satisfied, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, my story, I started cooking very young and just loving to eat. Like when I was a kid, I was a little husky, as they say, and I would just enjoy food. Would you like a little more? You're like, yes, every time. Of course. And I grew up around like really good food, a big family on both sides of the family. And, I think what really inspired me a lot was just our family parties and gatherings. Because, my grandmother or mother or aunt and uncle, they would cook and my grandfather, they would cook for several people, and it was almost like a big catering party. And they just knew how to do it on all sides. Even my family that weren't even in the industry, it's so growing up around that, you learn how to entertain and, basic hospitality. So that was very beneficial. Yeah.
So you started.
And am I right in knowing that you are of Italian background? Were both sides of your family Italian?
My father is 100% Italian, from Campania region by Naples, a small little island my grandmother was born in, Ventotene, which is in the Naples Bay. So our family came in like the 1920s to Brooklyn, and then migrated to Staten Island. And then my other side of the family, Irish, German, English, like Scottish, Dutch, So, a little bit of a nice mix,
Yeah, so both sides were big cooks? Both sides of your family were big cooks?
Yes, yeah. So on my father's side, so my Italian side of the family, my grandfather opened up a butcher shop. And my great-grandparents had a grocery store in Brooklyn.
All right.
And then my grandfather went ahead and basically wanted to have a butcher shop. So he hired a butcher to train him, and then learned how to butcher himself, and then had that business for about 30 years in Staten Island. And as my uncle got older, my father's brother, Uncle Joe, he worked at the butcher shop and did Joey the caterer. So he had his catering business out of there as well. So yeah, like that was the one side. And then on my mother's side, my granny, my mom's mother, she worked for a catering company in
Mm.
Staten Island. So, she understood the grind and slicing hundreds of pounds of turkey during Thanksgiving. And um, so I learned a lot from her as well. Yeah, eventually my mom and grandmother did like a little side catering business growing up when I was
Ah.
probably around 11 to like 13, 14. So that was technically my first job, I would say, is working catering with them.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
literally in your blood and part of your character. It's
it
just,
is. And, it was something that I like took on too quickly. And it's very like common sense based. So and that's kind of how my brain works. So, I picked up on things quickly and noticed I was getting better and better. And it was just kind of like, it just seemed like the right path to take for myself. Yeah.
wonderful. In the introduction, we did talk about. I think Debbie referenced your seasonality, and that's one of the things we love. And so, because then as a chef, and for us as well, we don't get bored because things change and the garden shifts and seasons have different. Our bodies have different needs. Um, where's your inspiration come from besides the family? I mean, obviously the garden, but how do you come up with your dishes? Like how do you start? Do you start with the vegetables? Do you start with where's it start? I'm so
Yeah, it can come from, a lot of different things. It could be just thinking about, yeah, what we have a certain product. Like right now we have sunchokes. Like we just picked sunchokes
mm,
this week. So we made sunchoke soup. And, so that with seasonal cooking, it makes it a little bit easier because you're
Yeah.
limited. And then from there, you just pull your past experience, things that work, and then kind of piece it together. So it's generally like one thing that sparks it. And then I have chefs at both restaurants so we collaborate all the time. We talk about a dish. For example, today, my chef, Jason Arellano at Apple Street, he was talking about a brioche type of Viennese bun, almost like a bagel bun, but more like a brioche. And we're talking about it with smoked salmon. So like we've just been kind of like going back and forth the past 2 days about this dish. But we know what it's going to taste like, the texture. We're eating it in our mind and like thinking. So it's, the more you cook, the more you can kind of taste what it's going to be. You just know it. So it's like it's
Yeah.
more of, but then, with the smoked salmon, last summer we had barrage. So are you guys familiar with that? Forage
yeah,
or barrage?
Just
yeah.
recently, actually. Yeah. For
I
me.
still have
Yeah.
some growing in my garden.
Yeah, they grow like amazing in our climate. Very big and luscious leaves. They have little pinchers on them, so you have to cook them. But over the summer, I said that would be amazing, like barrage cream cheese for smoked salmon, because salmon cucumber is an amazing. That's a great combination. So working on that. So this dish that my chef brought up to me, sparked the barrage from the summer, and I'm like, okay, now it's coming together. So that's kind of how we work on it. And other things, if we're running like a sandwich special, it's fairly simple to put together. Some ingredients that you have around. Um, but I'm constantly writing menus, whether it be catering, private parties, the in-house. So I'm trained to write like menus. It's part of my like weekly job. And I enjoy it. It's fun. It's a good creative outlet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So I imagine
wonderful.
you have relationships with local farms and local farmers and local other products that are doing stuff that are providing to you regularly. I imagine that's the case.
So we do.
Like
We
tell
have
me,
yeah.
yeah,
We have our
how does
network. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. That's all I'm gonna say is that. How does that work?
Yeah, so it's all like people we know I know in the industry, and it's kind of like, Mumford, who I bought the old Mumfords I bought
Right.
Apple Street from.
Yeah, Chris Mumford.
Chris Mumford, he farms, so he grows, butternut squash, heirloom tomatoes, so herbs. We're constantly texting all summer long with what he has. And then we have, another local farmer in Tinton Falls we use. There's like several just small time farmers that either sell at farmers markets or direct to restaurants. So they're
Mhm.
this little. So it makes it fun because we have our mushroom guy in Long Branch who he cultivates all of his
Right.
mushrooms indoor. Plus he also forages in the woods, so we get great stuff from him year round. Um, of course, our garden is a big resource for us, and when I have oysters, I also have an oyster farm with a few of my high school buddies. So summertime we have our own oysters that we grow, which is awesome and
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
rewarding.
Bonus.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just our little network of all through the years and friends, and we all help each other out. My buddy Kyle from Second Jetty, he's someone landed a tuna, and he has his license to sell his tuna. So boom, like I'll run
Nice.
to I'll run down to Atlantic Highlands and grab a whole tuna or two of them. So we're all kind of looking out for each other in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And we
cool.
help each other. Like we help each other if Mumford has way too many tomatoes for the week. I'll shoot text to a few of my buddies who own restaurants and try to help him move product. That's the hard part, the time sensitivity of vine
Yeah.
ripened tomatoes and yeah.
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 I'm wondering what changed for you in your approach to the table and cooking or in your communication with people, either during the pandemic, after the pandemic. Have things shifted for you besides everything being more expensive?
Yes, everything's gotten out of control. Um, yeah, it basically turned on like a survival mode. I kind of just took advantage rather than we didn't go into panic mode at all. Maybe for like 5 days a week. There's definitely some just mass confusion. Like, all right, you got to shut your doors, go home. So it was awkward that first week, but we just kind of thought on our feet. We had a week off and basically said, how could we do this? We're allowed. We got all the guidelines. Like we're allowed to do takeout, mass, blah blah blah. We got the whole outline. So then we decided to sell provisions as well as our menu to go at Jeet first, and it worked out very well. We had an online ordering list with everything from dairy, dry goods, flours, yeast, eggs, um, meats, fish, all like portioned and ready to go for you to cook at home. Um,
Mm.
so it became their grocery shop where they didn't have to go to the store.
Mm.
So they would get their takeout for lunch or dinner, and then they get their groceries. We'd have it all boxed up for them. Anything organic, high quality produce, meats, fish, and eggs. We were surviving. We were getting through it, and before you know it, it was over. And
Yeah.
then we just opened our eyes and like, all right, here we are now. What happened in the past 3 years? Like, oh my god.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, during that time, I spent a lot more time with my family, which was nice. My kids and wife, and so that was a big plus, which in the industry
Yeah.
is hard to get that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
And I understand you're renovating, right? Apple Street. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, very excited. That was a kind of a going back to COVID. That was kind of our setback. I wanted to start this 3 years ago. Um, but it was definitely helpful to kind of sit back and reassess our first plans here. But we're all set. We have drawings. We're gonna hopefully break ground before the new year. Be finished either late spring, early summer of next year. And it's gonna be a whole new thing here. It's gonna be very cool. More dining space.
Yes, good.
Good.
You know, yeah, more dining space, just a great layout, a great space for a lot of private events, private parties, pop-ups, outdoor events. So yeah, we're very excited, and I've been living in this whole design for like a few years, so I'm the only one that
Yeah.
can really know what what it is. I've been walking through it for a while, but yeah, it's gonna be good. It's time for like the next step here. This building, Mumford, 30 years ago, added onto it, so nothing's been done to the building in 30 years. So it's
Yeah.
time for a nice refresh, and just kind of create another level, and move forward, and
Yeah.
just have a very unique, interesting place that people are going to enjoy and draw people to Apple Street. It's a great location. A lot of people,
It
they
is.
don't know about this street, but it's close to a lot of the Parkway and
Yeah.
Yeah.
several
Easy to
towns.
get to, and ample
Yeah,
parking.
yeah, and it's beautiful at night. It's quiet. It's not a busy street at night, and so we do want to do some pop-up dinners that we'll promote through social media and email blasts. So that's a fun thing to do. Yeah, we're excited, very excited.
Yeah.
That's great.
We do want to plug getting on your email list, because you do send out menus and you send out your catering and you send
Hmm.
out, specials and everything. So we want to definitely plug that. How do people we'll put it in the show notes, but let's just have you share what your handles are and that sort of thing. How do they get on your newsletter list?
Yeah, so newsletter list. That's a good question because I don't handle that, Wendy.
Shoot.
We'll put it in our show notes. We'll get it. We'll get it. That'll
Yeah,
be
We'll
fine.
get it. I just put you
no,
on the spot. Shoot.
just
Well,
kidding.
people, yeah. Well, definitely, we want to encourage our listeners to visit and share and get on the list. But I just want to clarify or question, with the renovation, are you going to keep your garden?
Yes, so we
Oh,
are keeping our garden. In addition to the garden, we're going to add a greenhouse.
oh,
Yeah,
Mm,
so half of the garden will be greenhouse, so we can grow all year, and
yeah,
also hold
nice.
a lot of our hardy herbs that like the rosemaries and sage that may winter and die. I'd like to kind of keep that and be able to grow basically herbs, tomatoes, a lot of basil all year round in there. Um, so that's going to be great. And the garden's going to be like a little bit more refined. Where I would love, when this is all done, that you guys can come and do a little event in our garden again, like we
Oh, we'd
did
love that.
15 years ago.
we did
Yeah.
15 years ago. I mean, that was a long time ago. Yeah,
I
we'd
know.
love that.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
could do an event like that out there. So it's going to be a nice raised bed garden. Um, just we're starting. We don't have a ton of space, but we're starting to kind of branch out into other farms or gardens that people have, and growing on there as well. So you know, basically, we're self-sufficient in garlic for like 5 months out of the year so far.
Yeah.
Um, and so this year we got offered up an estate, and they said, "Oh, we have a huge garden and beds open. Go
Oh,
for it."
nice.
So
Yeah.
my dad and I planted like 600-700 garlics for next year. So we don't
Cool.
they're safe and sound for the renovation. They're on another property. Um, yeah, sorry to get sidetracked, but like that's
That's
kind of
exciting.
That's exciting.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
We get excited about that kind of stuff.
We do.
yeah,
We do. I love a chef that's also got his hands dirty in the
Yeah.
dirt too. I mean, that is
Sure.
part of the allure and the appeal, and that brings that quality to the table. I think that's a beautiful thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's what you put into it. It's the energy you put into it. Definitely
Yeah.
contributes. I believe that it's there's they have heart in it, and it is
Yeah.
I think that through everybody when they do something really well. You notice and it feels good,
Yeah,
or yeah, passion.
absolutely.
Recently, I had to speak. It was career day at my eighth grade son, Luca's school. So it was about owning the restaurants, and so it was pretty. It was pretty funny that I had to like talk to the 8-year-olds about, and I broke it down very simply, like teamwork, and it listed every single position to
Mm.
basically achieve one day, which is, at Jeet is 16 people to just perform lunch, or dinner. Um,
Right.
so breaking it down to them, like, this is not just one person, or that, it takes a
Right.
lot of people, and a lot of passion to get it done. You know, I
Yeah,
I have to be on the forefront and keep my head together, and keep positive, and keep the train moving, and everybody kind of
that's
moving and
right.
happy. Um, but yeah, the team is the big aspect. And the funny the kids asked, they asked, could you make a lot of money? Or they asked, how much money do you make? And I said, what? I'm like, I just told you. I'm like, there's 16 people to operate one day.
Yeah, you're not in this business to be a millionaire, billionaire, right? That's not the point.
Well,
But
those
but I
people, those avenues are there in the industry for sure. But it's,
of
there's,
course.
yeah, but it's, you take on what you can take, what you can handle, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do have a family and a wife, so a wife and a kid, so that's important. You want
Yeah.
to keep that. Um, I have a question for you about your vision, and maybe starting from years and years and years ago when this all began, maybe when you first opened the little Digit on Route 35 up in Middletown.
Yeah.
Like, tell me what your vision was, and does it match what's going on now, or and do you have a vision for what going forward, what you're going to be doing in the future? Like, I want to hear about how this.
Yeah. I like, the vision was difficult. My wife said, well, what's your concept? What do you want to do? Our first restaurant, gee, like in Middletown. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't know. I was back and forth. I'm like, well, we want to have a family, we want to have kids. What's realistic, where we have a balance of life? It's important for us. But so I decided to kind of take it slow. I started very small and just kind of feel it out. I'd never owned a business before, a restaurant, and so I went small and took it slow. And then it kind of just went quick. It was in a year and a half we moved to the Grove, and my original concept wasn't to do dinners. It was to do maybe private dinners, for special occasions, not
Ah,
dinner service 6 nights a week. So it kind of just took me and just pulled me in a direction, that I had to make those choices, and that they were the right.
mhm.
I'm happy with my choices, but I didn't ever think I was going to be in the Grove. What was funny was I had opened Jeep, and my sister was getting married, so there she was shoe shopping. So my sister, my mom, and I were shopping in the Grove. We had lunch at the old restaurant there, Pasta Fresca. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking around. I said, Mom, like, I'd love to have a place like this. She's like, oh, watch what you wish for. Watch what you wish for. And then next thing you know, like that all happened. But
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah. So I'm very happy with my choice there. It has taken a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work, sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm still gonna be there for a long time, and I still want to push it to the next level, and have plans to do more there as well. I
Mm,
don't see myself having more than 2 restaurants, but what we do have, I just want to keep on evolving and improving there.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we don't want you to go anywhere. Let's make that clear. Don't
Yeah.
leave.
And as far
Yeah.
as Apple Street, like, with doing the whole remodel, and I kind of feel like we're setting it up for years to come, at least 20 years to come. And what happens in between, we don't know. We'll just kind of take it as it comes. Um, but it's just, yeah, kind of just thinking simple, one step at a time. You know, try to make the right decision.
Yeah.
Kind of be patient and don't react. Kind of sit on things, but be ready to make a move when we can do something to improve. My initial design for the Apple Street renovation was on a lot larger scale than what I'm doing. And the more I saw it and looked at it, and we were delayed because of COVID. So I said, you know what, this doesn't have the feel of what I want. It's not. So scaling it back, so it's going to be larger, but still have a homey, intimate feel to it.
Mhm.
It's good to be like in a tight room with people. It kind of brings people together. I think about
Yeah.
Christmas Eve where we're in my grandparents' old house that's tiny one room and there's 20 people in it. People on the floor, on the couch, on the chairs.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah. Yeah.
it's yeah, I don't know, you get used to it, and it creates an environment where you're forced to all interact and talk, and that all ties into the restaurant. It's all like hospitality and just taking care of people, eating, having a good time, drinking wine.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I think the environment that you have created in every space that you've had has been, I
Smart.
think the environment is, that's what drew me at first. And then the food was like the wow, but the environment that you have created in the places is definitely part of the draw. And for Debbie and I in our business, one of our foundations besides nourishment is connection with people, and you definitely get that when you come to Apple Street and Jeep. So yeah,
Sure, we have our little mantra when you walk into Jeep and above. I don't know if anybody really, some people see it, but it's right above, and it's lit up,
Yeah.
and it's all our
Yeah.
story about Jeet as grandpa, kind of. Because that's one thing we should talk. A lot of people don't know what the name means. They ask me all the time, but it's just, did you eat?
Yeah.
Jeet yet?
Yeah.
yeah, your grandfather used to say that all the time, right?
Yeah. So yeah, my father named it. He just yelled out. He yelled out at it like a family dinner. Jeet. We're like, what? What are you talking about? That's the name. That's the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's stuck.
So I also, I was
I'm
going to
sorry.
say, I wanted to ask about your choices of like your choice as having a restaurant and having fresh food and organic food and all the stuff that's real. It's real food. I know that a lot of restaurants cut corners because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
They choose things because it's food is so expensive, especially quality food. And I'm sure that it's come across your mind a few times. How can we make this a little bit less expensive in some ways? And some restaurants sacrifice health for that. I'd say not some, most restaurants sacrifice health for that. They use ingredients that we wouldn't use at home or that aren't necessarily nourishing. And so your choice to not do that, and your choice to use quality no matter what, like I want to hear about that choice in your mind. And was it a choice, or was that just how you always did things and there was no
Yeah.
choice?
No, well, yeah, it was just, that's my like moral food standard. That's just kind of, we don't do that. I've had chefs tell me for years, they just said, oh, well, you could make, thousands of dollars more a year on your Joey sandwich if you change to the chicken that everybody else uses. And I would never
Yeah.
refuse, or our chicken salad, we never, sacrifice that.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. But yeah, that's red meat is very expensive. So like we don't serve a lot of red meat at G because you have to charge $60 for a steak. Well, most people aren't gonna have a steak for $60. So yeah, G just evolved to what it was just wild how it just kind of took to, like the Joey sandwich and the chicken salad. The business is basically built on three sandwiches. That's what kind of, and like three sandwiches and like three salads. and that was it. It was just those were all like home runs, and I never thought that. I've worked at French restaurants. I like Michelin food, fine dining. I like all types of food, and it kind of just that's what stuck. And I don't know why, but I think it's because it's familiar, it's common, and just like you said, like it's fresh and good quality. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like the simpler things are the things that actually like really clicked with consumers. Um, as far as ingredient, yeah, I won't, there is times we may use a frozen product, but
Mhm.
it's not sacrificing the quality
Yeah.
or the nutrition for it.
Right.
If we bought
Yeah.
frozen blueberries, or more nutritious frozen, or
Right.
there's certain times to use like frozen isn't that so bad, but processed foods, never buying processed. Um yeah, just very clean, fresh, and basic, back to basics, how they used to do it in the old days, not mass
Yeah.
producing. Um, people say, "Oh, why are your chicken fingers so good?" Like they like the things like that on our menus, and it's just well because they're like it's real chicken, and we buttermilk marinate it, and it's not not
Yeah.
Tyson's frozen nuggets or anything. But it's doing those. I think it's doing those little things. That's what Hubert Peter from the Fromagerie. He that was his saying is the little things, the little things. It was always the little things that people notice, like the soup. When I first started working there, I made the soup, and if you made a great soup, the owner knew about it right away. It was like because these are people that would come in frequently, and if you made something really good, as the soup is a freebie. If you order an entree there, you get a soup or salad. So it
Right.
doesn't have to be amazing because they look at it like they're getting it free. But when it is, it's
Right.
like you make their whole night over the soup, not
That's right.
the expensive like veal chop or whatever it is.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so the Huber's from Germany and like really thick German accent, and he was always just little things, little things. So this industry is very common sense. It's very simple. I think the equation's simple. It's just for one having like the energy to perform and execute. That's a big thing because it takes a lot of energy, and I'm fortunate that my crews are they know how to work. They're very hard workers, and they enjoy what they do, so they have fun. Um, in those long days, we have a good time. We actually enjoy time together. We're at work. We see each other more than we see our families. um,
That's right. So
and
that is a family. Yeah.
today, Jason at Apple Street today, my chef, he's been under the wet. He's been kind of having colds for a month, and we're like, "What's going on here?" So I found spirulina in my glove compartment, which I gave him 4 days worth of spirulina. So we're kind of it's like some of me and my chefs were like old married couples, like
There you go.
yeah. Here, honey,
I
take
love
take
it.
your spirulina tonight.
That's right.
And I'm like, take 3 in the morning, 3 when you get home. Okay.
Well, that energy gets into the food too. I mean, Debbie and I are such believers in the energy of the environment and the energy of the
Yeah,
chefs going into the food and
absolutely.
helping be part of the nourishment of it. So, yeah,
Yeah, I love that word. The nourishment is, kind of just sums it all up. Is like, the whole thing. It's just nourishing. It
yeah,
Yeah,
it feeds your soul, and you feel good and satisfied and full, and yeah, it's happy living. That's like what makes things
e-
good.
yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love chatting with you. And we've got to get over there, Debbie.
Yeah.
I know it.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Is there anything else you want to plug for our listeners?
I think that's it. If you do want to get on the mailing list, you can go on the websites and direct
Yeah.
email us. any information. We do have Thanksgiving catering coming up. Our deadline is next Saturday, so get your orders in. Turkey time
Right.
over at Apple Street. Yeah, and we just holidays are coming and look forward to that. And I really appreciate you contacting me and getting in touch again and doing this. We definitely have to do the garden dinner in the future.
Yes, we're
Yeah.
all in.
Yeah. We're up for that for
Yeah,
sure.
we look forward to doing that together.
Great.
Thank you
Good.
so much.
Yes, great
Right,
to
we
talk
wish
to
you
you
the
guys.
best. Especially with your renovation. Hope everything goes smoothly.
Excellent.
So,
Yeah.